Excited to finally review the Qubic QS-BT1 belt tensioner. I've had this for quite a long time. I've had my starting issues with it, but after I figured out all the issues that I had, I really enjoy this. Disclaimer, this unit was provided by Qubic Systems for this review, but all the thoughts and opinions are my own. This is finally something new in sim racing that brings sustained G-force simulation. A traditional motion rig will only shake you around a little bit, and it cannot simulate these sustained G-forces like the belt tensioner can. It looks like a black heavy box, like 12 kilograms or so, with two straps coming out. This attaches to your shoulder straps. But while it might look not very spectacular, I mean, Knight Rider is of course cool. In terms of immersion, this is unmatched, I think. Okay, let's actually turn off this thing because the fans are pretty loud. What we have here is a dual channel direct drive system. We have two servo motors, left and right. I tried to open this, I failed, but you can see through the ventilation holes here what's going on there roughly. So two direct drive motors, basically putting a force on these two belts. Effects you can do is like the most important one, I think, is braking. When you brake, it will tighten both belts and it feels like you're pressed into the seat, which then after some time will feel very, very similar to the sensation you get in the car when you're braking. There are effects for cornering where there will be different forces on the left and right belt. There are effects for road texture, stuff like that. And this thing can put up to 41 kilograms onto you, which is quite a lot. I definitely had some bruised shoulders when I ran this for a long stream on high forces, so you will definitely trade immersion for comfort here. There are tons of extra effects. We'll have a look at the software in a second. But what I wanted to say as well, it also works sensationally well for flight simulation. I think while I really like this for sim racing in many scenarios, for flight simulation, it is absolutely unmatched in terms of immersion. And like DCS, a nice jet, F-18, high G maneuver, feels so nice with this. Okay, price and value. This thing costs 1,390 euros plus taxes, plus a harness, which will cost roughly 100 to 400 euros. And you also maybe need a new seat. It doesn't work with every seat. You need the cutouts to be roughly on the height of your shoulders. Make sure you take that into consideration when you think about this. I'm using the SimRace Shop belt system. I think it's pretty nice, but I would probably recommend a 2-inch system. The SimRace Shop one is 3-inch. I tested a few at the expo, and 2-inch to me just felt a little bit better. And when you buy something for this, I would go with that and maybe add some of these extra paddings for the shoulders, which will, in my opinion, be the best of both worlds. It is kind of expensive for just a belt tensioner, but it is cheaper than most motion systems. It's cheaper than a SimiCube Active Pedal. It's cheaper than most high-end wheels, and it definitely adds tons of immersion. I would call this like the entry level into the high-end motion haptic market. Installation and setup is a little pain, to be honest, especially if you do it alone. This thing weighs 12 kilograms. You have mounting brackets that attach to the front here and then to your rig. I would recommend to have like a sturdy rig for this. I wouldn't put this on your play seat or something. There's not a lot of space between the belt tensioner and your rig, so it's a little bit fiddly to mount. I mean, you only do it once, but if you can, if you have friends, maybe get a second person to mount this will make it easier, but it's not impossible to mount when you're on your own. You need a 4, 5 or 6 point harness. I tried 4 and 6. I don't know what I would really recommend out of those. I liked both. The 4 point has the disadvantage that it puts quite some pressure onto your belly as well. The 6 point did not feel as direct to me. But it's really like figuring out the right belt seat setup is really crucial. Keep in mind, the harness can and most likely will feel uncomfortable under load. You definitely trade some comfort for immersion. For me, in a 4 or 5 hour long stream, sometimes I don't want to use it because with the belt you sweat more. And when you drive a lot, obviously the forces just like put some tax on your body. Keep that in mind. And also make sure to really fine-tune belt seat. This, I can't stress this enough. When I first got this, I really was like, why does everybody like this? I'm not a big fan. I had to experiment a lot with seats and with especially the position where the belt arrives at your shoulders. I prefer slightly above my shoulders for racing and slightly below the shoulders for flying. It's crucial that you have a seat that will allow this. I'm using the Orouge C2, I think, on the rig right now. I designed some custom inlays for the cutouts that raised the belt quite a little bit and also gave it a low friction glide point. But it's not plug and play, this system. It's definitely not plug and play. Especially when the belt arrives at your shoulders at a wrong angle, it just can feel like weird. And it will kill fidelity. Absolutely. Okay, hardware design. Qubic systems, industrial build quality, solid metal box, not designed for fancy stuff. We have the LED light, which looks cool. Knight Rider, David Hasselhoff will approve it with a cool idle animation, or like you can use it as a brake light or something. Not like you will see this when you sit in the rig, but it looks cool. The red accent looks good. Of course, it would be better if it was purple, but you cannot have it all. Rounded edges. I tried to open it. I failed. All I did was break a screw. But from the outside, everything looks very, very well made. The power supply, I have the old one because, I mean, I have this unit for 12 years now or so. Sorry, Qubic, that this review took so long. But I wanted to give it a fair chance. Like, I was just so surprised that everybody likes it and I didn't. So I just needed some extra time to really figure out this thing for me, and now I really enjoy it. Power supply, I do have the old style. I could show it to you now, but if you buy it now, you get not the custom metal one, you get a off-the-shelf plastic one. Yes, metal sounds better than plastic, but the new power supply, the new plastic power supply is actually better because it's passively cooled. It's not as loud as the old one. The old one has a really audible fan. The new one doesn't. In general, volume is absolutely no problem on this belt tensioner. Like, the fan noise from the old power supply is pretty much all you hear. Like, an active pedal will be louder. You can definitely use this at night when there's a baby sleeping next to your rig. Okay, my personal experience with this. I said it already, but at first I really didn't like it, like, at all. I had the wrong harness, I had the wrong seat, the belts were angled wrong. It just didn't feel good to me. It took me several months of trial and error, several belts, different seats, different belt angle to shoulder points. I really tried a lot until I got to a point where I really enjoy it. But now I do really enjoy it, and driving without it feels weird. Still, sometimes when I'm streaming, I prefer to drive without, because after 4 or 5 hours, when everything is just like wet because you're sweating too much, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. But now that winter is coming and it's cold outside, this is probably becoming less of an issue. If you give it the time, if you dialed it in to your personal preference, then this thing can become an absolute important element for your sim rig. What I'm trying to say, you probably get it now. The seat, the harness, and the positioning of the harness is absolutely critical. Okay, I don't want to go too much into detail here for the software, because I tend to keep talking for hours about software when people be like, whatever. The Qubic Manager software looks good. I think it has everything that you need. There are tons of different profiles for games. There's the SDK as well when you want to do custom stuff. I have not messed around with that. There are basically 4 tabs or 3 tabs that are kind of important. You have the violent movement suppressor. I just have that disabled because, like, I mean, if you crash, it should hurt, right? We want the immersion. Can't be like, but only the immersion, that's good, blah, blah, blah. I have this off, but you can limit forces if it would exceed a certain threshold. I don't even want to talk too much about settings and everything, because I always encourage people, try it yourself, play with the sliders. You paid so much money for this. Don't just copy some random settings from a random guy on the internet and be like, okay, I'll use this. Play with it. Honestly, this is so much money. Play with the sliders and see what works for you. I show you what you can adjust here. You have braking, obviously. The main benefit for me is braking. You have acceleration effects, which feel weird to me because, I don't know, It's the same effect as braking, and to me it feels like it should be the opposite, like release the tension on the belts, for example. I don't know. Braking acceleration right now is the same effect, and it freaks my immersion mind out if I use it. Sideway acceleration, centrifugal force can be adjusted. You can have vertical g-force effects. You can have side slip, which actually this one is really nice because it can give you some indication of when the car rotates too much, oversteer. One thing that is disabled per default, which I highly would recommend to turn on, road harshness, especially for tracks with a lot of elevation. Thinking about Nordschleife or Rally or BeamNG or something like that. I don't know why this is disabled per default, but turn it on, play with the sliders, and then thank me later. Pre-impact protection, and then there are also effects like engine vibration, which I don't think feels super good on the belt tensioner. I think the system with transmitting forces via a belt is not that great for very high frequency signals. I prefer it more for the low frequency stuff like braking or like oversteer effects. Maybe ABS because that is kind of low frequency. But engine vibration, was not a fan. You can configure it. I tried several things. I didn't like them all, but I never really like engine vibration anywhere. I even disable it on my motion rig. I even disable it on my butt kickers. I don't like it. I mean, I don't know how much you really feel of engine vibration when you sit in a car. I don't feel any in my road car, so it's not for me. You can have a little effect on your belts when you hit the rev limiter, gear change, wheel lock effects, which actually is really nice. You can have a wheel slip angle, like a predetermined value that you set here, and if you go over that, there will be some vibration on the belt. I didn't really like it. ABS, very nice. Feels, in my opinion, better than having it on the pedal. Personal preference, if I run with belt tensioner, I turn it off on my Simmercube pedals. If I run without it, I run it on the pedals or on the bass. The V&M can do it on the bass now, also feels good. And to be completely honest with you, I have absolutely zero clue what this velocity effect is. I played around with the settings, but not really anything that felt too good for me. I mean, they say, like, do not use this effect together with engine vibration, so it's in the same ballpark, so it makes sense that I don't like it. Then there are also additional settings, vehicle parameters. I have never ever touched this menu. Of course, you can run different profiles, you can clone them, you can edit them, you can share them online. There is a database of profiles that you can try. I've never tried some. Like I said, I always encourage people, play with the settings yourself, don't copy settings. But yeah, that's the software. It's very easy to use. It looks decent. Yeah. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about my driving impressions next. Without motion, it still feels good. It feels a little bit weird because with motion or haptics, there's something going on all the time, whereas the belt tensioner is more like a sporadic effect. Like, at least how I have it configured, like it will only be there in the corner under braking and so on. But even without motion, the braking feels very convincing. Cornering forces also work decent. It feels strange at first, to be honest with you, but once you're used to it, it's kind of hard to not drive with it because your brain will just adapt. It feels natural once you're used to it, and then when you turn it off, it will feel super weird again. With motion, this thing shines, especially with a seat mover. I think seat mover plus belt tensioner is the match made in heaven, because you pretty much get the best of everything. The belt works super well for sustained G-forces, for hold, for longer held sustained G-forces. The braking feels natural combined with the change of the angle of your body. And the first time you combine it, once you dialed in your belt, it feels magical almost. I would probably not really recommend this without motion. But if you're on a budget, adding a butt kicker or some sort of haptics, it doesn't have to be something super expensive. It can just be like a single haptic bolted to your seat, already feels so much better than without motion. Like, I would say motion and belt tensioner is perfect. No motion and belt tensioner is still decent. Haptics and belt tensioner gives you 95% of what motion and belt tensioner will probably give you. Unless you like the super extreme roller coaster type motion setups, which I don't. But haptics and belt tensioner is really, really nice. Obviously, comfort will suffer. You will need to wear a belt. It is annoying. I will never understand why people wear belts if they don't use a belt tensioner. But some people do it. For me, it's just... I prefer to drive without it from a comfort point of view, like especially longer streams, longer races. I don't want to use this because for me it's just not as comfortable as driving without it. For flying, this is an absolute must-have. I would never fly without this again. For sim racing, rally or stuff with a lot of elevation changes, absolute must-have, absolute amazing. For road racing, it's a nice immersion-giving device, but I wouldn't call it like essential or anything. Okay, a little breakdown on the effects. Braking is the best effect. I think it's the most useful. It gives you a nice feel of the trail braking. Cornering is convincing, not 100% realistic, but once you adapt it to it, it feels good. The gear shifts, I turned it off. You need to see if you like it or not. Engine or curb stuff is better with a haptic system or haptics in your motion because the system is not fast enough to give you these high frequency effects. Slip angle and traction loss is a very good indicator, can definitely help in addition to the force feedback that you have. I think it's also kind of cool that you get like this crazy force when you crash, especially if you disable all the protection features. And the road harshness stuff is absolutely amazing for anything that involves a lot of elevation changes and jumping, for example, in rally. And yeah, it's really nice that you configure it to your personal situation, whether you run motion, whether you run no motion, maybe haptics, stuff like that. Okay, to sum this up, let's talk about the pros and the cons. Pros, I mean, it definitely unlocks a new layer of immersion. We can say it like that with the sustained forces. It works standalone. I would say it works fine standalone, but if you combine it with motion or haptics, it's insane. The belts are, I don't want to say silent, but it's very, very, very quiet. The software is great. The build quality is great. Being able to feel your trail braking can help you be faster. I mean, this faster, slower, does it make you faster stuff is always a little bit difficult to talk about. If you're at the highest level, this will not help you. If you're maybe not at the highest level and you need more cues to what the car is doing, this can help you. Cons? Well, I mean, it's expensive. It's really expensive for a belt tensioner, especially considering that there might be more cost of a new seat, a new belt. It's not cheap, but immersion stuff usually is not cheap. And another con, if you drive it without motion, it will feel a bit weird first. Like, to me, it's like this on-off thing that just felt, yeah. And setup is critical. This is not plug and play. Like, you need to play around with your belts and your seat. So the conclusion overall, difficult start for me, but it's still one of the most impressive products that I've reviewed. Even though it took me a few months learning to love this thing, we are now here where I can recommend this to most of you. It is expensive, but it is unique. The setup of your belt, number 2000, I mentioned this, makes or breaks this. It definitely has a permanent spot on my rig. For longer road racing sessions, when it's really warm, I might not wear the belts. For rally and flying, there's no chance I will ever fly or do a rally without this. So the very, very quick verdict, if you can afford it, if you have the right setup, if you don't mind tweaking your belt for some time until it feels right for you, it's absolutely worth it.